of the connections to make good. So I am jumping on. I want to encourage you that you are the church. I received an email this week from a person who stops for the one on the streets and talks to them about Jesus. And she said that she was so frustrated because whenever she invites them to church, they always say no. She had felt like throwing in the towel and giving up when she read one of the stories that I sent out to the Verve family this week by email. It was a story that I shared in my last live. It was a story that talks about how I stepped out and I offered to pray for an atheist who couldn't smell. And I felt nothing at the time. This person who I was praying for felt nothing at the time, and despondent. And she wasn't healed at the time either. And despondent, I then went home and cried, to be perfectly honest. And I was ready to throw in the towel. She wrote to me. Oh, and then what happened though is I found out 6 months later that the person I had prayed for was healed. Thank goodness in that situation, my husband Andrew had said, it would be a shame if you gave up stopping for the one and praying for people. This might just be a part of her journey. And he was right. So 6 months later, I found out she was healed. So this woman had actually sent me an email yesterday saying, I read this testimony, it's given me hope to keep on going, but I'm so frustrated because I keep on offering Jesus to people. I keep on inviting people to church and they keep on saying no. And I actually wrote back and I said, the problem is that when we stop for people on the streets or wherever they might be, it might be at work that we're stopping for someone, or it might be, as we're shopping, or it might be, at a sports club that we're at or something like that. We can't stop and pray for someone or evangelize to them and then get frustrated when they don't want to come to church. We need to meet people where they are at. They might not be ready to go to church with you. So we must meet them where they are at, not where we would like them to be. We are the church for them. We need to be the church for them. Sometimes being the church for them means having a cup of coffee with them. Sometimes you just go on your way and you'll never see them again. So it's important to always ask God in the situation, what should I do? What should I do next? It's always wise to lean into the heartbeat of heaven and say, what is the best thing to do for this person that you, God, have just encountered with your presence? Ask, do I invite them to church? Or do I invite them into a home group? Whatever God says, just do it. So while Hebrews 10:25, it encourages us to not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing. This encouragement, pardon me, is actually directed to believers, not those on a journey. And remember, this was written at a time when believers were meeting in homes, gathering together. And so to encourage a new believer or someone on a journey to come read the Bible with you or to gather in your home with a few others, that would actually satisfy that encouragement anyway. That is not giving up meeting together. Home churches are a very valid style of meeting together as church. So, but I would say, don't leave your church. Keep on going to your church. Churches are amazing. We need them. We need them. So, because I had no help in the season that I was stopping for the one at the time, and our church was 45 minutes drive away. So it was an hour and a half round trip for people. And it was, full of like 400, 500 people. And there was lots of noise and music and people dancing and things like that. Instead of, trying to insist they come, they just pulled away from me when I did that. Instead, what I did is I invited them over for a cup of coffee, hosted a twice a monthly life group in my home for people to practice hosting the presence of God, teaching them how to recognize and respond to the voice of God. And then they would then actually go out and stop for the one the same way that I did. So they literally were born into that environment. So they just went out and they did the same. Many of those people have become leaders in churches all over the city. We've got worship leaders, pastors, all sorts of people, and some have just stayed in the same church that I introduced them to all those years ago. We need to be the church for people, not try to take people to church. And I also want to say to you that we must give these people back to God. I used to walk around with this hyper vigilance and this idea that I was responsible for everyone. It's the reason why I burnt out eventually. I used to worry about, catching up with this one, catching up with that one. But then life got so frantic. I ended up starting to stop for people, 3 to 4 people a day on average, which is over 1,000 people in a year that I was stopping, praying for, seeing signs, wonders, healings, and people were giving their hearts to Jesus all over the place. It got to the stage where I would give them my email. And if you're interested in understanding any more, I'd give them a card from my church and say, if you're interested in understanding any more, have something that you can actually give to them. You can always carry a Why Jesus booklet that's been written by Nicky Gumbel, the amazing Nicky Gumbel, who wrote the Alpha series. The Little Red Book, Why Jesus, is amazing. And I've actually written a testimony, the Little Red Book 1 and the Little Red Book Part 2 on my website. And I'll be sharing those testimonies next week with the Verve tribe that receive my email each week, as a way of encouraging you to see that it's not a straight line to salvation and plug them into the big machine that is church. It's us being the church, meeting people where they're at, and blessing them as we go. So sometimes we just meet people where they're at and we don't expect them to be where we want them to be. It's about being the church rather than taking them to church. Have a look at my bio, sign up for that email. It's just once a week, and you also get notified of any free trainings that I might do as well. Those testimonies are amazing. It's the testimony of me literally turning up to a hospital on my own to pray for someone's husband. Never met him before. He gets healed. All sorts of crazy things happens, but then it goes pear-shaped. And I had to work out what to do next. So there's lots and lots of keys in those 2 testimonies, the Little Red Book Part 1 and Part 2. And I want to also add that to carry the responsibility upon our shoulders is too heavy for us. That we were not designed to carry the responsibility of other people on our shoulders. We do what it is that the Father is asking us to do, and then we give them back to God. And then He will do what He does best. The Holy Spirit is really good at doing His job. We just let Him do His job, and then we do ours. He does the rest. So anyway, just wanted to jump on and give you a very brief encouragement around you are the church. Don't get frustrated if things don't seem to be happening the way that you think they should be. Go with the flow. Life happens. We'll catch you soon. Have a beautiful weekend. It's a beautiful day here in Melbourne, Australia. We'll catch you really soon. All right. Bye for now.